One of the most simple and most difficult to comprehend ideas is compound interest. Our brains are geared to think linearly. It's not geared to think geometrically or logarithmically. It just doesn't work that way, which makes it very difficult for people to understand the benefits of investing. Let's see if we can make it a little bit easier to understand. This is a simple investment calculator. You're starting with $0, putting money in for 10 years, 0% rate of return, so there's no growth. $500 at the beginning of every month. Your end balance at the end of this decade is $60,000. You can see here at the bottom, the accumulation schedule, the picture, completely blue. It's all your contributions for that 10-year period, all blue. Keep that in mind. Let's add a little bit of interest every year. So now compounding starts because interest is applied each and every year. You start off with $0. The return rate is 2%. You're talking about the same 10 years, $500 at the beginning of each and every month. Your ending balance here is $66,000, but look at the chart below. It used to be all blue. Now it has a little bit of green that represents interest. The blue are your contributions, but now that you're getting 2% every year, you can see the green starting to add to your return. Let's look at 8%, 4 times more than the 2% we looked in the last example. You're starting at 0, same 10 years, except now it's growing at 8% a year, same $500 contribution every month. Your ending balance is now 50% more. Instead of ending with $60,000 by just plain saving, you have $90,000. But look at the chart below. If you go back to the first chart, it was all blue because that was everything that you put in, nothing else. Now you can see the green take up a larger and larger proportion. By year 10, it's actually pretty significant. The reason this is happening is because you're getting 8%, say, in the first year. But in the second year, you're not just getting 8% on what you contributed. You're getting 8% on what you contributed plus the 8% on top of what you made last year. So that is how compounding works. You can see how powerful compounding is just by going from 0%, 2% to 8%. And that's over a short period of time. 10 years is relatively short. The US stock market has returned 10% per year for the last 100 years. What would that look like on the compounding calculator? The ending balance here is $10,000 more than the last example at over $100,000. Remember the chart below when it was at 0%, it was all blue. And then it was at 2%, it was a little bit of green. But now at 10%, you can see by the end of a decade, the green is a significant portion of the total line. The growth of the investment is becoming a large component of making you wealthy. These are short periods of time, like just 10 years. Like think about how fast your 20s went, like that. What happens over a career when we're talking about 30 or 40 years? How does compound interest affect the total result? Before I give you the answer, I told you at the beginning that our brains only think linearly, not geometrically. Just seeing what you've seen now, what would you guess for a 10% return after a decade of working, say from the age of 20 to 60? We went from $60,000 with a 0% return to $100,000 with a 10% return, say in your 20s, 10 years, 20 to 30. What happens after a career? Think about that, and let's move on. You would have almost $3 million just by investing a small $500 amount every month, 40 years, getting that same 10% return. Look at the chart below. When you were just saving, it was all blue, no green. Now, at 10% for 40 years, the vast majority of your result is from the compounding component, the green component, not what you put in anymore. When you're working, selling your life for a salary and saving, it's like pushing a rock uphill. It's all you. You're doing all the work, all the heavy lifting. In this case, it's the growth on the investments that's doing all of the lifting. Think about this. You're contributing $500 a month. What's that, $6,000 a year? The total balance at the end of this year is $2.8 million. What is 10% of that? Because that is what is going to grow next year. The growth alone in the next year will make this $280,000 bigger. What did you contribute again? $6,000. Completely dwarfing your contribution. As you can see in the chart below, virtually all green. Your contribution makes almost no difference to the growth of the portfolio. So our brain doesn't think logarithmically or geometrically like this. But you can see how if the portfolio grows far more than what you contribute, far more than what you make in your salary, at a certain point, your salary becomes optional. Work, don't work, contribute, don't contribute. It's growing at hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Do what you want. Learn the lessons about money that your parents and teachers just don't know. Download my free newsletter linked off the bio. Good luck. Take care.